Hey, good morning, everyone. Let's call court to order. Today is Tuesday, August 25th, 2026. It's 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Wednesday, August 19th, 2026 at 4:30 p.m.
Thank you. Let's stand briefly for a moment of silence, and then we'll have the pledge to the flag led by Veteran Service Officer Steve Hernandez.
Please join the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas pledge. I the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, before we start the hearing process regarding the budget and the tax rate, first of all, if there's anyone here that wants to make a public comment to the court on business matters, please do so at this time. Please identify yourself and what precinct you're in, your address and precinct.
Bryce Chapman, 371 Taylor Lane, Precinct 3. Once again, I'm here to do what's right. See, myself and many others have taken an oath. You here have taken oaths. So I ask you and anyone listening to this, which I know contains many former employees of the Sheriff's Office, as well as other officers from the departments all over the county, including the state, whom I have spoken to over the last months expressing support for my refusal of backing down. I ask the current employees as well. Quite frankly, I ask anyone who's sworn an oath of service. What is the value of swearing an oath if you only hold to it when it's easy? See, I've been shot at, I've had bad days, as servicemen and women have throughout this country and history. But that's expected with the job. What's not expected is when the people around you betray their oath. There's no field or guidebook for how to handle that. And frankly, the topic is so taboo, no one ever wants to address it. That there is a major problem. When ranking officers and elected officials can double dip on duty, taking tax dollars, when law enforcement officials can openly lie, literally teach others how to violate civil rights, heck, when the sheriff himself can take and properly extort explosives to a local high school, risking the lives of unknown innocents out of some form of invulnerability complex that he has, then gentlemen, we have a problem. See, I may have been brushed off as a ranter or a disgruntled employee, but for years, I made sure people knew about my discontent. I made sure leaders knew about the things, and then I documented it, just like I am doing now. I'm making you aware of these issues with an official record of it. So if you choose to sit idly by and do nothing, then you can begin to be held accountable, as you knew something was happening and chose to do nothing. There's case law after case law of this stuff, and gentlemen, I know how to keep a record. Time's a ticking, and I refuse to let evil prosper in my community. See, I believe the last great politician of this country we had was George Washington. Why? Because he didn't want to be a politician. Do not force me to run for office, gentlemen. I do not want it. But if that's what it will take to eventually hold every single corrupt person accountable and strip them of everything, I will. And if I do it, I will not leave a single stone unturned to fix this community. Do not test the measure of my resolve. I suggest you start taking some discernible action. Stop dragging your feet. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? This is not on the tax rate or the budget. This would be other matters.
Good morning. I'm Marcia Michael. I'm in Precinct 4. And I want to thank you for letting us speak today. I appeared at the August 18 tax rate hearing and remain firmly opposed to any increase in the McLennan County property tax rate, whether the original 6 cents or the reduced 4.5 cents now under consideration. You have heard from residents who have already stretched thin by inflation, higher everyday costs, and rising property values. For a medium valued homestead, even a 4.5% increase still means nearly $100 more per year out of family budgets that have no extra room. This is real money for working families, seniors on fixed incomes, and young homeowners trying to stay in their homes. The county's own figures show this budget would raise total property tax revenue by roughly $18.8 million, nearly 19% more than last year. Yes, public safety, the jail, employee retention, and state-mandated costs are legitimate pressures, but those pressures do not automatically justify asking taxpayers to write a larger check. Responsible stewardship requires exhausting every alternative first. Deeper operational efficiencies, prioritization of core services over nice-to-haves, better use of revenues where appropriate, and aggressive pursuit of non-tax revenue. Other local governments face the same inflation and mandates and still hold the line. McLennan County can do so too. And I want to say, Commissioners, this is a defining moment. McLennan County voters are watching closely. They will remember who stood with them when times were hard and who chose the easier path of raising taxes. Elections have consequences, and the people who pay these bills will hold accountable those who raise them. Commissioner Jones has already shown leadership by voting no and advocating for taxpayers. I urge the rest of this court to join him. Please adopt a budget that lives within the no revenue rate or lower. Do not raise our taxes. The residents of McLennan County are counting on you to protect their hard-earned dollars. Thank you, gentlemen.
So this is not the hearing for the tax rate and the budget. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I've got a very good understanding of that. I will rise for that, given the opportunity and permission. My name's Jeffrey Williams, Precinct 4 in this county. I also represent Precinct 94 as an elected office that I hold. In the last 6 days, since appearing earlier last week, I have had a lot of people come up to me. It is as coincidental as you could make it, or as realistic as you could hope for. Everyone is concerned about a lack of attention to detail that is coming from what we've talked about. The three things that I'm hearing from, and I rise to speak only of them and not to anything else that's going on: transparency, openness, and information sharing. Over and over, people say, I didn't know we were doing this. I didn't realize that this was an issue. I don't understand how I don't know about this because I'm a pretty smart person, and why didn't I be informed? Or why wasn't this put out? About a third of the people I've spoken with blame that on the fact that we are so into modern technology and social media that we're not doing things like publishing stuff publicly where people can see them in the public venue. We're not putting things out in community organizations and community networks. It could be something as simple as your precinct chairs like me taking your message out to our people. They hired me for this job and they asked me to represent them. And 100% of what I am hearing right now is not vague stuff. It's black and white reality. We feel disconnected, cognitively dissonant is a medical term I would use, from what's going on. And that's not y'all. I think it's the system. I think it's the informatics that we use and the way that we present information to people, combined with the fact that sometimes we can find ourselves being pushed away from the reality of life. The decisions we make, the 4.5%, the 6%, the holding down on the budget, or having a no positive net increase in the budget, what does that mean to you versus what does that mean to your constituents? They're the ones paying disproportionate share based on our salaries. And I think that's something that we need to remember and take care of. And I also want to Thanks, Steve. I'm one of his successes. He took a veteran of 24 years who didn't know what he was going to do and couldn't do anything, got me services, got things taken care of for me so that I could be here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Okay. Going to item D is budget amendments. We will, on D1, we will start regarding the FY27 budget. Going into that, let me make a statement here that Commissioners Court takes this job very seriously. The fact that someone would come up here and say that we aren't transparent shows the lack of work that they did before they made that statement. And in fact, to quote Commissioner Jones, we're the most transparent courts that's ever been in place. If you'll go to our website, you will see every budget that we've proposed, every audit that we've done. These are recorded sessions, they're into the public. If you cannot be live on it, you can go back and pick up the recording and listen to everything. We posted the preliminary budget. It's been out there since the 18th. And so I can't understand why someone that purports to be as knowledgeable as you are, that you did not understand how we are so transparent that there shouldn't be any questions about that. When we posted the last, on the 18th, we considered consensus to lower from 16 cents to 4.5, from 6 cents to 4.5 cents in that process. Continuing to chisel and work hard to do that. Previously, there was a screen that showed in the last 10 years, we've lowered the tax rate by 19 cents. In the last 10 years, we've only raised it twice. If we end up confirming the 4.5 cents, we will net out that we've lowered the tax rate by 14.5 cents in the last 10 years. So to say that we only raised the tax rate and we never lower it, just a little bit of work would show you that's not the fact. And I would just ask people as we go into the hearing that you really understand what you're saying. And I'm not trying to lecture anybody or anything else, but we spend a lot of time, effort, and funding to be sure our transparency is there. Each members of this court was voted on by the taxpayers because of their experience in budgeting and business and all those other things. And I can tell you, they take it real serious. And we don't always agree, but we work hard for the same direction. We're all taxpayers as well. So we understand, what is being said in these meetings. So with that, I would like to have Francis Bartlett to open us up for the preliminary discussion before we go into the hearing.
Good, thank you, Judge. So I have a relatively short PowerPoint presentation just to kind of put into context where we are today and how we ended up having this discussion today in regarding adjusting the tax rate. Share. So like you mentioned, Judge, we've spent weeks, months with departments putting together this budget and talking through all of the details. But I wanted to give a little context. Again, just, this isn't just about this year. This was about, the last years, and of course, what the future looks like as well for us. And so, like you mentioned, we've been looking at the tax rate history for those 10 years. And so these are just some statistics to look at over those last 10 years, and those last 10 years being FY17 to FY26, which is our current fiscal year that we're currently in, that ends September 30th. So over those 10 years, the county's taxable values have more than doubled in those 10 years, so increased about 110, 111%. Over that same amount of time, what you've done as a court is you have lowered the tax rate by about a little over 36%. And so you have taken into account that growth and then utilized that growth in values to lower the rate. Our general fund budget has grown about 57.5% over that same 10 years. And because you have lowered the tax rate, your total tax levy, which is the actual dollars coming in that are collected on that rate, have only increased 34%. So when you look at those figures, the general fund budget has definitely grown faster than the levy. And so through those years, we were relying on excess fund balance. We were relying on large increases in other revenue lines like sales tax, alcoholic beverage tax. And so those, of course, have diminished over the last couple of years, which I'll touch on in a second. And then you've also worked extremely hard the last probably 4 or 5 years to really, really scrutinize every line in the budget, tighten the budget. We don't budget for excess, just really honing in on the details. And so all of those things together have resulted in having less fund balance available, of course. And so that means less fund balance is there to absorb your deficit between revenues and expenditures. To put that into a chart form, if that's easier to look at. So here's just a chart of taxable values that I mentioned that had more than doubled from less than 15 billion, and then we're up to close to 30 billion for this next year. And then that tax rate fall. And so FY17, we were at 525,293, FY26, 334,805. And so I think this is not just specific to our government, but the cost of maintaining our operating expenditures and our personnel grows extremely fast, and it is growing faster than our property tax revenue that was coming in. Like I mentioned, that rapid taxable growth over the years did help us maintain the budget. It helped us maintain our revenue, and then you were also able to incorporate those tax cuts through the years. And so keeping the burden on diminishing our fund balance rather than going to the taxpayers for those increased costs. And of course, we knew that would not be able to continue consistently over the years. And so because of that, of course, our fund balance has declined, which we've been looking at for the past couple of months since FY24. And so you'll see there that highest point there, FY24, and then it starts to drop. And that is because our taxable values started showing very slow growth. Other revenues slow to grow, and of course, we're just seeing increased cost year after year. This is kind of the same, but putting it in perspective as a fund balance as percentage of expenditures. And so you'll see there that our fund balance as a percentage is dropping, of course, since FY24, and that's okay, because that's where we wanted that falls within that range that you've set as your goal. But the plan is that we need to keep that constant. If we didn't make any adjustments, of course, that line is just going to continue to move down incrementally each year. And so to summarize what occurred in specifically in those years, FY17 to 20, taxable values grew pretty rapidly, pretty steadily. You were reducing the tax rate. And then we maintained a relatively stable, yet some years pretty high fund balance. Then we looked at 21 to 24, so taxable values really accelerated during that period of time. You continued to reduce that tax rate. And then, of course, our general fund expenditures were still growing, and our fund balance grew as well. 25, 26, that's where we really started seeing that slowdown of taxable value. And so, like I said, the general fund had increased, of course, over those 10 years. And so that growth remained constant year after year to keep up to keep up operations and programs here at the county. But of course, that did cause fund balance to decline because we did not have those increases in taxable value to rely on. And then here we are, looking at FY '27's budget. And so, you know, it's hard to assume now that we will see a sharp increase in any sort of tax growth. And so something we're watching very closely. It's hard to predict. But we do know that we can't let fund balance continue, of course, to cover that difference between revenues and expenditures. And so I know this is still, of course, being contemplated today, but, you know, the last consensus we had here in court was that 4.5 cent. And so that first box is our current year tax rate, the 334,805. Middle box is if you add 4.5 cents. It's still 27.7% lower than your rate 10 years ago, FY '27. And so, of course, the goal is to not get back to that tax rate in any way, shape, or form. We just have to make an adjustment to our revenue structure and that comparison between revenues, recurring revenues, and recurring expenditures. And then just to summarize, so again, last 10 years specifically, we've utilized tax-based growth throughout those years to reduce the tax rate. But of course, our cost to operate here continues to grow. And it has grown substantially over the last 10 years. Tax levy, because we've lowered the tax rate, right now that levy is not keeping up with that same growth of expenditures. And fund balance is declining because we are utilizing it to cover recurring cost. And so, again, tax rate adjustment needed now for the county to reestablish that revenue structure and to ensure that going forward, we have a healthy fund balance and a healthy revenue expenditure balance. So. Any questions there? I know that was quick and condensed, but I just wanted to kind of bring all those things together and kind of show where we were today. And then, of course, then we're always going back to that. What do we look like now? How do our expenditures look? How do they relate to our fund balance and then moving forward? And so we can move on to that when y'all are ready, either now or after the hearing, if you'd rather.
Why don't we, if it's all right with the court, have the hearing, get the input from the community, and then start that process. That's okay?
Say it again now, Judge.
I said, let's go ahead and start the hearing,
Okay.
get feedback from the community, and then go back and start working with,
Drilling in on the budget.
drilling in on the budget.
Okay.
Yep, okay? Okay, at this time, I'll open the public hearing on the FY '27 budget schedule for this morning. And after that, I would ask everyone to stick to the 3 minutes when you come up. I know many of you have signed in. If you haven't, please do so. But go ahead and state your name and your address, and if you know what commissioner precinct you're in, we'll state that at that time. So let's start the hearing. All right. You're on front row.
Well, good morning. My name's Eric Schaefer. I live at 228 Oklahoma Avenue in Hewitt. I'm in Mr. Perry's precinct. I sent an email trying to get a meeting to go over some of these things in the budget so I could understand them for myself. We didn't connect for some reason. But I did my own research, a little work ahead of time, so to speak. And looks like last year we spent about 153 million, if I understand the budget correctly. And this proposed budget is to spend 158 million. So we're spending more money. I think we need to cut back We've grown the budget 57% since 2017, I think, is what was presented earlier. I found in the budget that we have some long-term debt of $104 million that goes all the way out to 2045. We have revenue bonds debt of $59 million that goes out to 2058. If I'm reading this information correctly, that's, to me, that's a lot of money. We're quite extended, and I'm not sure the numbers. It looks like maybe we spent 13.7 million on paying down that debt in this year through the end of June. So, I mean, that's a huge portion of the budget. I'm assuming these numbers are accurate from my interpretation. That's where some assistance would have come in to clarify, but I don't know. It seemed like over that time period, we've reduced the tax rate, but we've grown the budget. We've spent money on things that, you know, put us in this debt position. We've also, you know, spent money on things that don't belong. You know, there's a constable that was given a $6,000 raise while he was under indictment. Some allegations have been made about the sheriff using county resources on his own personal property. And so there's an investigation going on about that. Last year, we spent, looks like $553,000 on incentive pay over about 54, 55 different accounts. When times are tough, you know, in the private sector, we've had to cut back. We've had to spend less money. We got a county administrator making $200,000 a year in 27. We got 13 court reporters for $115,000 a year each for 9 courts. Seems excessive in the state compared to norms. We got associate judges and magistrates, $221,000. Seems like we don't need to have that. We got plenty of JPs and other judges that can handle stuff. That's my time. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. All right. Next.
Good morning. My name is Darlene Nobles. I'm from Precinct 54. I'm the chair, and I sat under our very own leader here. We're very proud of you, Will, standing up for us. I'm here to talk to you about, I understand the burdens that you carry and all the people that are coming to you expecting all these roads done, all these things done throughout the community. I've sat through so many of your meetings listening to the requests, and I know it's overwhelming what you carry. And so I don't come lightly with this. I only can tell you what it's like to have a household for someone who's worked their entire life and didn't have anything given to them, and then pulled together the resources and the money to buy a home. We have a beautiful home. We'd like to keep our home. We budgeted it to where we could live in our home for the rest of our lives. While everybody was out taking vacations and taking their children around the country, we didn't do that. We saved. And then we didn't drink, we didn't smoke, we didn't do anything. We're like the most boring people. All we need to do is to work. And we worked hard. And there's just a whole huge community out there, the workaholics. I'm one of them. But we had a goal. We had the American dream, and we got it. We got the most beautiful house out of it. We took escrow that we built from house to house to house, and we took money out of our businesses, and we took money out of our savings, and we put it together, and we have something to ride us out till our last breath, and that we'd like to keep it. And I'm not here talking about Darlene Nobles. I'm talking about all my constituents, all of your constituents, and all of you that when people look at you and you go out and you're no longer commissioners, let them remember you as being the one that stood strong for them. Because there's a huge population of seniors. There's a huge populations of seniors that are coming down the pike, and that we are really looking to you to help us to keep what we got, because we're not escalating in our income any longer. And then when our taxes go up, we didn't see that coming, that could knock us out. We have all these things in place to help people that are underprivileged. We're very proud that we have these things in place for that, but we actually have a group of people that could end up being another cost to our community if we do not pull together and keep our home. So I ask you to think of that. I know that I have one daughter, and she wanted the biggest dress, and I couldn't afford it, but I got creative, and I put things together with hot glue and wit, and my daughter had the prettiest dress. So sometimes you can't do what everybody asks you to do, but you can do something that they'll remember. Be creative, guys, just be creative. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say something real quick. It might be, might be a little out of line. Darlene has seen quite a few of our meetings. She was one of the sign interpreters.
Okay, yeah, I do.
So that is
Thank you.
she has observed our court
She sure has.
back when we had to have that.
She was one of the quietest ones we had.
That's quietest.
All right, next. Ms. Michaels? Anyone else?
Jeff Williams, Precinct 94. It was never my thought or idea to disrespect this court. I apologize if my comments were taken negatively. They weren't meant to be that way. I was speaking for the common person who doesn't have my intelligence, my background, my knowledge, my experience. Not anything to do with taking away from your gentlemen's hard work here for our community and the county. I think that as businessmen, we are all businessmen. There are times when we have to tighten our belt. We have to do things that are distasteful or uncomfortable or that go against the voie that takes us through our successes in life. And that's what I'm asking us to do now, is to look at things where we can cut the fat, even though I understand the numbers and I know that we are doing a good job budgeting. I think we could do a more constrained job, take some things out. And I rise asking that you consider that as you approach this budget today.
Thank you, sir. All right, next. Ma'am, you're nervously looking up here. Come on. Good morning.
Good morning. I wish I was a budget person, but I am not. I'm a medical person. So I went through the budget, I think it was maybe 180 pages last night, line by line, trying to figure everything out. I feel really bad for the people in Waco who are having a difficult time paying their mortgages now because the Trump economy, I love Trump, and I think if you are not in the stock market, you haven't felt the benefits of his economy yet. And I believe it will come in a couple years, but it's not here now and it's not in Waco. And so my purpose was to go through each line and try to figure out where there's just places to cut. I think the tax base that you're using right now is actually going to be a 20% property tax increase for us. And to me, that's just not sustainable for a lot of people in Waco. So some of these items that I wrote down, I'm not even sure what they are. Contingencies, that was a really vague word to me. But on page 17, In 2026, contingencies were $355. In 2027, you have $1,500,000. It was increased by $1 million. And I can't figure out what contingency would increase $1 million in 1 year. And on page 18, professional development, it went from 50,000 to 65,000. But as of June 30th, there's only a few months left in the fiscal year. Only $32,000 has been even used. So why do we need to increase it by another $6,000? On page 19, the first assistant chief of operations, his salary went from $146,000 to $168,000. I realized across the board, everybody that was listed got a pay raise of 3.75%, but for some reason, he's receiving an extra $48,000 compared to anybody else, and I didn't know why he gets more money. I'm not even sure across the board 3.75% is really needed right now. I don't know why it can't just be a 3% salary increase. The other one, travel reimbursement. I don't understand why every single department, the tax office in McGregor, the tax office in Waco, the tax office of the motor vehicle department, the information technology, the county courts, the chiefs of peace, all the precincts, all have a travel budget. I mean, are we paying for their gas to go to work? I don't understand. If you're in the finance department, why do you have a travel budget? The travel budgets are anywhere from $30,000 to $90,000. I don't understand.
Yeah.
My husband is a physician. He has an office, and he has to travel to Hillcrest and Providence, but he's still not given a travel budget from Texas Oncology.
Thank you, ma'am. Your time's up, but anytime you have questions, you make an appointment with your commissioner, or we'll see that you get to
Well,
the...
I wish it wasn't that, because there's even more.
Yes, ma'am, I understand, but thank you. All right, others? Anybody else? Okay. Speak now, forever hold your peace. All right, it is 9:39. The hearing is concluded. Thank you. Let's take a 5-minute recess.
Recording stopped.
Let's call court back into session.
And again, I'm an angry taxpayer, but you did respond very.
Can I make a quick statement about the transparency?
Yes, sir.
So this is the most transparent budgeting process in government by far. And I've observed many governments, and the one government that affects us the most, the state government, has the least transparent of budget processes, where the House comes up with their version, publishes their version, and the Senate publishes their version, and then they meet in a closed room and decide what is spent, and with no input from the public. So this is the exact opposite of that, in my opinion. So.
Thank you. Okay, Francis, just to start somewhere, put whatever last year's revenue growth percentage in and use the 4.5 cents as the deal. In other words, if we experience the same growth next year, or this coming year rather, than we have this, where we're up to now, what's that look like?
And let me
Mainly
just-
focused on how much it erodes into the unassigned fund balance, which is the cash position of the
Yes,
court.
sir. Sorry, I don't know why it always takes me so long to share this. Okay, so here's our scenario. And I've made that as big as I could. I wish I could fill the whole screen. I don't think I can. This, of course, being FY '27, or next year that we're looking at, this has that 4.5 cents in. This expenditure number is going to look a little lower than it looked last time, and we'll cover that here in a bit. But Judge, I think you're saying here on the taxable values.
Yes.
So this scenario, I have it updated with 2.5% growth. That is what we saw last year. This year was less than that, but I can adjust that. This year was closer to 1%. But right now it has 2.5 there. And so you can see here with that 4.5 cents, you'll see here, let me highlight that. So total revenues, how those grow, specifically the tax revenue there. Sorry, give me one sec. And so with that minimal growth, if we don't see a bump up like the trends we're showing, you'll see that your deficit between your revenues and expenditures stays pretty constant there. And then your fund balance as a percentage of your expenditures there also stays fairly constant, but you're hovering on some of those years below 28%, which is your minimum of your goal.
So if we stay on that, then in 2029, we drop below our policy guideline of 0.28,
Yes, sir.
which would, unless something changes, that would spur another tax rate or a significant cut in expenses to catch up with it, which would probably be a combination of both.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And, those assumptions, like you said, like a combination of things, they'll definitely differ, but the combination,
And Francis, we're getting the 28 that we all agreed to is like an operating expenses for 3 months at least. That's because we want to keep our bond rating at a high level.
correct.
It'd be a little more than that.
Yes. So 25% would be 3 months, so it's
Yeah.
somewhere,
Yeah, but the golden rule is about, for a
Yes.
business,
And
is
so the way-
operating expenses for 3 months unless there's a catastrophe or things are happening in the world, so
And,
that's
as
why
we-
we're having that number.
Yes, sir.
to
And,
explain
as
to
we
everybody.
revised that policy on the last agenda, you set that range from 28 to 33, and in that policy, it says, if you do fall below 28, that you'll make a plan to get back up in that range. Of course, if it's above 33, you'll make moves as well, to bring that down, whatever mechanism you use to do so.
Questions? Want to look at other scenarios or ask other questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
When we're ready.
we're ready.
Okay.
Can I,
No, you go right ahead.
I was gonna touch on one thing and then.
You go right
but
ahead.
You go ahead, it's your agenda.
I'm
so.
fine, I'm fine.
I was just gonna touch on why this expenditure number was different here. So, this number has been decreased, and, the sheriff's office has provided a list of capital items, that they are going to utilize their commissary fund to cover. And so those have been pulled out of the general fund, and then they will accommodate those costs in that other fund that's under the authority of the sheriff. That total decrease is $674,586. I'll read through that list, just for record. So it's pulling out Phase 3 of the camera replacement project at Highway 6 Jail, commercial dryer, commercial washer, electric kettle, tilting skillet, all for the kitchen, stainless steel tables, also for the kitchen, an autoclave steam chamber, a Stryker stretcher chair, a Chevrolet Equinox, and then they have replaced an admin Silverado with a Dodge truck. And so there's a lower cost there for the difference in those two makes. And so again, that net is $674,586. So we've pulled that out of the expenditures. If y'all, I would assume y'all were good with that, but I know that David Abs is available on the call, on the Zoom rather, if you have further questions for that. So that's one we do already have embedded here as of today.
How much is in that commissary fund?
So I think currently it was, I think a little over $2 million was the current fund balance as of yesterday.
And where does that revenue come from on that?
It is, they are commissions that come straight from sales out of the commissary fund.
Okay.
And so,
Cheetos, Snicker bars.
yes, and so there's regulation, of course, around that, and then those commissions go into what we call the commissary fund, and then the state statutes give authority to the sheriff to spend those for specific purposes. And those purposes have changed some over the year, but there's no commissioner's court authority over those funds or over the budget.
Real quickly, I'd like to make a comment. Obviously, the chief deputy was listening, and I appreciate him more than ever coming back to the table and wanting to help some more. And that's a huge asset to have somebody listen to what we're saying and listen when we ask for help, and then to perform and do that. So kudos to the SO and the budget group.
So,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
no.
Go ahead.
So we've made that change here. And so again, that is reflected in this scenario. And so then anything else you want to ponder today, just let me know, and then I have information that can help with your
Smith?
suggestions.
I'm ready to ponder.
Poppy Clutch.
Ready to ponder. I too echo the commissioner's comments on SO. I know that when it was brought to the chief deputy's attention that these were possibilities, he did a deep dive into it, checked on the legality of it, and confirmed what could and couldn't be done, and came up with those numbers. And so that's a significant number, reduction of taking that out of the general fund cost on the budget side. So muchly appreciate that. I'm gonna throw out some numbers for consideration. Okay, I'm sure that everybody else has some also. So if we look at, we've looked at revenue side and we've honed in on revenue side, but we also need to, in my mind, look at the expense side. And one of the things I'd like for us to look at is on operating cost. I recognize there are some areas that we simply don't have the opportunity to cut or look at, and amongst those are contracted services like for food services and medical services. Our indigent defense cost, our indigent medical cost,
insurance rates, autopsy costs. There's just a lot of contracted services that are out of our purview as far as being able to lower cost. That being said, we do have operating costs. We're already probably pretty close to where we need to be, but I'd like for us to look at across-the-board 5% reduction, offices, departments, and operating cost. That would save us somewhere in the neighborhood of $700,000, give or take, and the auditor would have to come up with that number to tell us exactly. Along that same line, I've reached out to Road and Bridge, all the different precincts. They too are willing to get on board with the 5% reduction in operating cost. That comes to about $450,000, give or take. We've mentioned SO and what they've been willing to do. I know that IT even looked a little bit further and didn't come up. They've already cut quite a bit, and I appreciate IT, especially John, and what they've done, but they came up with another $25,000, I think, that was forwarded. So there's some areas to look at that I'd like for it to be plugged in, come back to us, tell us how that translates into total budget, and then how that could drive down the tax rate and us still maintain the 28 to 33% unencumbered fund balance to stay
Mr.
within
Smith,
our policy.
Oh, excuse me. Give me those two numbers. Road and Bridge was 400.
Road and Bridge, what I've got is $441,396.
All right.
That's a 5%.
Yeah.
Am I on?
I agree, yes.
Oh, wow.
I had calculated 510,000 yesterday at 5%. If you just take the operating budget,
I took $8,827,914 as the proposed operating cost and multiplied that, or took 5% of that, or actually multiplied it times, I guess, 95%. Came up with that number and that reduction of 441,396. But we can, that's something to get the auditor to look at. The 5% on operating would have to be determined by the auditor's office, because there may be some numbers in there that we can't touch, that we just can't touch because of obligations. Contracted services that have escalators in there that we don't have a choice on.
So Road and Bridge was, that, you gave me that number. What was the other one?
The 5%, if it was across the board without any
Just
mandates, because, well, you know, the mandates that are handed down to us that aren't funded, that we don't have any choice, and
Yeah.
the escalators go up on the contracts, that was $760,925. But I don't know if that's going to be a final number, because it probably won't be.
And I can kind of, and I provided him that figure, and I can tell you how I came with up to that, like based on what I pulled out of as things we probably shouldn't bring down, but you keep going and I can.
And you did mention things that we can't touch,
Well, yeah.
basically. $24,508 was the additional money that IT found in addition to what they had already previously given you as far as cuts and so forth. So, you know, if you add all those up, if you added them up and it was maximized, it come to about $1.8 million in reduction on the expenditure side. And there may be some other areas that somebody else has got some ideas with that would affect not only the expenditure side, but also hopefully push down the tax rate.
so I have a list here, and some of Commissioner Smith's ideas are just he and I collaborated. So it was he and him and myself. I would like for us to do a little more belt tightening than just those, and again, I do appreciate the sheriff's department and their willingness to step up. But we need to cut, we are buying too many cars, in my opinion, and I felt like that for a long time. I would like us to only buy the patrol vehicles and cut everything out on vehicles other than the, including the Constable One, not buying the Constable One car also too. And then finance those, these are all estimates. The financing I'd seen where, we could have saved about 800,000 on all the purchases this year, but we decided not to do it. And then the largest cut would be, largest cuts would be in our, where we would do only half of our COLA that is proposed this year. It's about $1 million savings. And, when times are tough in business and your revenues are down or are not growing as much, you don't give raises. And you don't, I think that's important that we consider. We're not taking it all away, but, that's just a simple principle that if the revenue's not there, then we can't pass it out. And then the incentive pay, there's lots of debate whether that's helped. And then half of the step market adjustment that was decided upon early on in the budget. So all mine cuts here, about $4.4 million, which would be about 1.5 cents on the tax rate.
And I appreciate what you're saying. The thing that bothers me with the COLA, to be honest with you, Commissioner, is the fact that we're going to push a 10% increase on insurance costs on our employees already, and which is going to basically put them in the hole already.
Well, I will say that probably in that 10-year in that 10-year scenario, in the past 10 years that we've looked at, we haven't increased the amount that the employees are paying in a time of rampant health insurance inflation and health insurance costs and things like that. So our plan has really worked well and been a benefit to the employees and also to the taxpayers also too in managing those expenses.
These 6 Chevrolets here, those are all patrols.
So I changed my mind on that. We need to keep the patrol. Any vehicle that's on the road every day, we need to make sure that we keep that fleet up and going and refreshed, so that would be so.
But,
Okay, I got the old page, didn't I?
so, the 338,950 would be the net. In other words, that would be, do the patrol.
Do the patrol.
But that's the cut.
That's the cut, yeah, that's all the ones that are not patrol. I think there's, it's actually is with the amount, it is the 2 Tahoes and 4 trucks.
They're non-patrol.
That are,
And we've, you know, I think maybe I might have been the one that opened the Pandora's box on financing vehicles, but I've been explained a little bit more about it. And I guess what I would use as an example is if, let's say we finance X number of vehicles, it's gonna cost us $200,000 next year to finance them. And we do that for 5 years or whatever. Then the next year we turn around, because we have to finance more vehicles, now we're up to 400,000. And the next year we're up to 600,000 financing because we're constantly turning over vehicles and having to buy more because of keeping our patrol vehicles in good shape. And so at some point, it becomes a wash almost on that. So I understand the thought behind financing, and I'm not entirely
Well, it was just,
opposed to it, but I'm not sure I was as sold as I was before.
In the long run, it's more expensive for the taxpayer.
In the long run, it ends up costing more.
Yeah.
You got a short-term break, but in the long run, it catches up to you somehow. So I don't know. I don't know.
We were kind of in that trap back in 13 or 14. And we finally got in good enough financial condition that we could, that our unassigned fund balances, we built it up. We were able to pay for those to avoid the finance cost on it. Of course, there's leases out there, but it's the same thing. And over the long run, that was the best way to go, is to, you know, save you money and pay cash for it. And the savings is in the unassigned fund balance.
I guess if you only had one vehicle and you financed it and you knew that once, at certain points, you're gonna continue paying the same amount each year, not any more.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's not the case for us,
No.
because we have to replace vehicles when they reach that 150, 200,000 mark.
Well, and we've got a pretty good system that's improving on determining when a vehicle needs to be traded. And that's by historical data of when transmission, you know, the big expense deals, the transmissions and all those start failing. And,
you know, the thing is that we're buying more and more cars, more and more vehicles all the time.
Yeah, there's
And it's-
absolutely no argument there, and that's something
And it's
we've got to
huge.
get a handle on.
It's a really large expense, and they're needed. I understand that. We just need to be, it feels like there's I don't, maybe a mission creep or something where we're slowly but surely, I mean, it ends up being you know, they're not lumped together in the budget. They're all separately, so it doesn't look like, doesn't look like a whole lot, but it has become a whole lot.
With that being said, Commissioner, did we get, wasn't it around 163 vehicles that are in the fleet?
Yes,
That's total countywide, right?
No.
That's just where?
SO.
That's just SO.
And some of those are at the auction house, but they're still on our roll.
Right.
And there's always a bleed into next year and things like that, and, I mean, it's really almost hard to tell what we're buying or.
Commissioner Jones, on your all department operating, you got 1%. Is that supposed to be 1% or 5%?
So that was an estimate. That I had heard that 1% of all operating was 695,000.
Yeah, and I can take some responsibility for that, Commissioner. That's where it started out, if you just went across the board.
Uh-huh.
And then it was explained to me that there are areas that we can't take from.
And I understand completely.
And that's that lowered that number down.
So I'll give you some rationale as to, because it was kind of done quickly too, but So when I looked at all the operating, if you just take 1%, of course, you come up with that number, like easy calculation. But then when I started trying to find areas that I thought it would cripple the budget for next year. So that being indigent defense, indigent healthcare, food service at the jail, medical service at the jail, autopsy services, liability insurance, like the list just goes on. And those are ones that usually when we budget for them, we kind of budget for them knowing that we don't want to over budget for them, of course, because we don't want to overtax. And so a lot of times we know we may go over a bit, but that's why we have contingencies to take up that slack there if we go over. So I tried to pull those down. And when I did, you come up with about 15 million of what's remaining. And so that being supplies, small equipment and furniture for offices, professional development, repair and maintenance, other services and charges, software cost, things like that. And so that's then where, when you take 1% of that 15 million, you get closer to 150,000. So just perspective and how you look at it, but I felt without analyzing it further, those areas to lower that budget would probably put us, it would put us in a
Well,
bad
it's just like you say, Commissioner, it's hard to cut, enough pencils and paper and erasers to
That's the big company.
make a big difference. Where our big difference is in our large capital outlay and and our personnel budget.
That's it, two
So-
places. But
We're almost.
I understand where the auditor's coming from. When I first asked for that, she shot me that number, and I thought, wow, that's great. And then when we started digging into it, finding out we have lots of contracted services that we don't have a choice. They're contracted. The medical at the jail. And when they throw in that 3% or whatever it is increase on their escalators that are built into the contract,
And even in that 100, that smaller amount that I'd kind of isolated, there's contracts in those too that are embedded all through the budget. So you look like repair and maintenance, we have maintenance contracts on things and.
Air conditioning, things,
Yes,
yeah.
and so those aren't isolated in one line, but they're buried in lots of lines. And so, making cuts like that, definitely a good idea, but then you may need to recoup a little when the year
So
starts.
an example on why that's kind of hard to nail in and why you have to have a contingency.
Why you have to have
is
contingency.
that we know what the contract amount to cost, let's just say autopsies. And a lot of people don't realize that the county has to pay for certain autopsies ordered by Justice of Peace or whoever. But we don't know how many people are gonna be subject to getting an autopsy after they pass. And so we have to have, it's not an exact number. And that's the fact on most everything we have. Jail medical, how many people are gonna need medical over and above just the maintenance? Those are sick people out there and, in a lot of ways. And so, those are things that's hard to calculate. So that's why we have contingencies to try to cover those because we're contracted to cover.
Yes.
And so that's why it's difficult to say 1% of operating when it's hard to herd that number up, knowing what it is.
I know that the auditor looks a lot at historical data to try to come up with.
Yeah.
With numbers, and I appreciate that. And historical data tells us X number of inmates are gonna need medical services outside the jail. But it may be a bad year.
Yeah.
It may be a bad year. And we don't have any choice when they have to be treated. We gotta treat them.
Yeah.
And that's where, when I mentioned when we do budget for lines like that, when we present it to you, we really have studied the history and we always give you a conservative number. Like, we know that it could probably bust. It's just the nature of those lines. We're constantly chasing what they may be the next year. So we try to keep it as minimal as possible. And then, of course, like you said, rely on contingencies.
Well, we have two recommendations from Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Jones. Some of those are similar. They might not have the same bottom line number, but conceptually, those are areas that are pitched out for potential modifications in the budget. Are there any others?
Well, I'd just like to say, now we're gonna be taking our almost, we're giving up $2 million on our road building projects. I was elected to fix our roads in precinct 2 because they were so poor. But we all have to tighten our belts, and maybe wear a mouthpiece to drive down some of these roads we're not gonna be able to repair for the next few years. And it feels like we're just kicking some of this stuff down the road. And what the Austin legislators did to us was ungodly of what we're having to deal with in these small counties. We're gonna take care of our business, but some of these small counties are gonna go bankrupt, and they're gonna not have any services. Sheriff's departments are gonna fall apart, the roads are gonna fall apart. Yeah, I mean, my taxes went down. A lot of my friends' taxes went down. We've all had sleepless nights, and I've talked to hundreds of people, Facebook, phone calls, persons, to not raise taxes or why we should raise taxes. And it's a horrible situation to be in, and I don't think this court in the last 15 years has ever seen anything like this. It's been pretty tough, Y'all breaking me in right. This is my second year. Last year was a lot more compatible to what we would do the right things. So I agree we're gonna have to cut some serious issues and things this year.
But you're concerned about the cut in road and bridge.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The road and bridges are gonna suffer, especially in my precinct. It's been neglected for years and years, and now I'm really gonna have to neglect it some more for the $500,000 that I'm personally giving back out of my road building cost, which we're gonna do. We're gonna do that. But when I get the phone calls of why aren't my roads fixed and we can't drive down these roads, the school buses are gonna be unsafe for the school buses, motor in public, bridge repair, guardrail, mowing, ditches, and things like that, I've got to explain why we're losing $500,000 out of our road and bridge department. We've all have. We've cut. Everybody in this whole county is cut this year. When we first started a month ago, we gave 1.4 million back on the road and bridge, and the sheriff's department gave, IT's given, building maintenance is given, and it all comes back to me. What I understand, with my knowledge, is what Austin did to us. And I was hoping the public would understand that. Austin did this to McLennan County, not McLennan County did this to y'all. So when you think about voting for your representatives, that's who you need to talk to. Thank you.
Remind me not to ask you to endorse me if I ever run for anything, okay?
Sorry.
Well, and he has a point, and I guess we're all kind of shooting from the hip here. And I've said it before, and I'm gonna say it again real quickly. I want to be in tune with you three, because you guys are gonna have to carry this budget forward. You're the ones that are gonna have to deal with it. You're the ones that are gonna have to make decisions that affect it negatively or badly. But you're right, and DL, you said, I don't think it's ever been like this, and it was. In 2011, the first 2 years I sat on this court were miserable. We couldn't agree on anything. And all it did is they were trying to correct issues that they had made bad decisions in previous years. Ultimate tax increase, correct, Judge?
Yeah.
Had no choice. Back then, we had a functioning newspaper, and no disrespect back there, but we were covered every day that we were here. And we were offered an opportunity to come in and explain why we had to do what we did and how we planned to remedy that. And that was to go to the maximum increase without a vote. But then as soon as we got our house in order, we also pledged that we would start cutting taxes. And we did that every year. I'm not sitting here trying to justify any increase in spending or tax rates of any kind, but there is a reality piece to it. And one of the things, and I hear it quite a bit, and it makes sense, is at our house, when things get tight, we cut. But think about it for a moment. If somebody could just walk up to your door, knock on your door and say, hey, I'm moving in, and you guys need to take care of me. You would say, no, you need to pack up and move on, not here. We don't have that option here on the court. We have people that move in, and when they move in, it requires an increase in services, which means an increase in cost. And so it's a little different. I get it. I kind of look at it that way until you realize we have no control over who comes in, what services they use, what services they don't use. We have seen, in my time on the court, a huge increase in mental health. And the way we've approached it and the money that we've invested in it would not take one penny of that back. But here we are, and we find ourselves in a situation here. We're trying to maintain a healthy status here financially. It is important. We couldn't have got a bond the first 2 years on this court. It would have been embarrassing. We'd have passed that budget. We'd have had $5 million in reserves. That's it. And a lot of people go, well, that should be enough. But when you look at the plurality of government, it's nowhere near enough, okay? So we had to adopt financial policies, and we have, and we've adhered to them, and I'm proud of this court. And I will say this too, I've never seen, and this is the first year that we've had to dig in deep because we've had the luxury of having the ability to decrease taxes. We've never been at this point and still trying to cut numbers and all. We've normally come in, everything's said and done. That's just a testament to the court still trying. In the last hour, what can we cut? How can we make this? Now, there's a fine line too. You cut too much and you really shot yourself in the foot for the next year. You've got to be extremely careful in that. But at the same time, we have folks, and I get this piece. You know, there's folks out there that are truly struggling, living on fixed incomes, and I get that piece. I'm more sensitive to that right now than I think I've ever been. But keep in mind, we've cut at least 26 million out of the budget that was sent to us to review. All the requests were put together, 26 million. So I feel good for where we started, where we're at. But I'm very interested in this conversation, and I just wanted to share with you guys that it's been a long haul. This will be my last budget here, and I want to leave, but I want to leave understanding that you guys are comfortable with what we've decided and where we've sent you guys.
My concern, and I appreciate both Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Jones bringing these numbers forward. And I think there's probably some valid issues that they bring up. Through this whole process, we're kind of stuck in supporting cost of living increase because we use a calculation. It's driven by calculation, and when we started using it, it was real relative to their true cost of living. And any time that we have not kept up with cost of living of their employees, it's like a cut. And whenever we don't move that, our turnover rate increases. And so turnover is a very expensive thing, depending on which department. And sometimes you can hire someone that hits the ground running and they're able to do the job. But generally it takes anywhere from 6 months to a year to really get them into doing a very good job. And so that's my concern about making any kind of adjustments to the COLA. If we're gonna use a model, for that model to be valuable, you stay with that. You cut it in other areas to be able to keep that. But I sense the court feeling urgency to do something this morning. So I think let's pick out some of these things that are mutually agreeable on and start discussing those and where the court wants to go with it. And I like Commissioner Perry as well. I'm really thinking about the next court that sits here and the challenges they're going to have if any cans are kicked down the road's going to be with them. It's going to hit pretty quick. And we haven't even talked about what we talked about earlier is what TxDOT requires on bridges and crossings, on our mandates to cover those. And what was the total amount over the next few years?
6 million.
Yeah.
Well, those are all long-term assets that
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but they're.
can be
if you-
passed, that can,
Yeah.
even if we have to go to the voters on a bond, then, that's something that,
Well, there was some discussion about bonds earlier by concerned citizens, and I understand that, but that's where some of that money goes.
yeah,
is
a lot
is
of
to
it.
fund those big projects.
Long-term.
Long-term, one bridge costing a fortune
Yeah.
to repair that is our responsibility. That's
No,
expensive items, so.
$50 million in, back there, behind us, so.
You know, I guess, Judge, go down the list and see if we can get any consensus, but and it seems I always get asked to vote first on everything.
Well, you are the number one.
Yeah, except when it comes, yeah, okay, okay. I support the 5%, finding out what that savings is, 5% cutting on operating costs,
All operating costs.
all operating costs, including road and bridge.
And so, but by department, we don't know how much that is because of the
Till
contract.
she comes back.
So that's where I'd have come up with this number, this 15 million, but I guess what I'm getting at is even then, so we may go into the year needing a budget amendment early just because there's a software contract, a smaller one that comes in, and if we've cut it 5%, we might have to build that back in. So,
But then you're gonna have
there's
contingencies.
contracts we don't even haven't even gone through court yet on some lines.
So it won't
But
be
I felt-
budgeted,
I'm
right?
sorry?
It won't be budgeted.
That's just an estimate there, so,
So how do you cover it if we're wrong?
contingencies
Okay.
at that early in the year. But that number that I had given him, it was, and I had,
But you'd already pulled out a lot of, when you gave me that number of the 150 some odd thousand total, you'd already pulled out a lot of the contracted services, utilities,
yes,
food service,
yes.
medical services. So we're talking about, it wouldn't be like a gazillion items come hit us.
so that number that I was left with, like I said, there'll still be some contracts embedded
could
in
be.
these. But it would be supplies, furniture and equipment, other services and charges, repair and maintenance, fuel, travel reimbursement, professional development, and then a lot of the software costs, the smaller software cost. And so, like travel reimbursement, fuel for constables, that's what drives their whole budget. So, they may need an adjustment if we did something like that, but that's just per your discretion, your authority, and then their managing of those funds.
I think we got to start somewhere, so
So that's.
Okay.
I support the 5%,
And what we'll do this is.
whatever it is, including road and bridge.
Okay,
Yes.
so that's, we can get a consensus. In other words, that's what we need to go with, the consensus. So that means if 3 out of the 5 support that, then we stick it over here and then we calculate it, and we see how we adjust the tax rate, tax rate. So any,
We're not voting on it, we're just getting a consensus.
I just want, yeah, nod
Okay.
your head.
I support the 5%
All right,
operating cut.
I support it.
all right. Any others?
I support it.
All right, that's a consensus. Okay, what's next?
I support the reduction that SO was offered of $674,586.
Jail commissary.
That
That's what-
they're
that's what
picking up the cost in
Yes.
some special funds outside of general
All right,
revenue that won't cost.
yeah. I'm assuming all the court members would support that.
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, yes.
It's a minor deal, but, IT offered it, $24,508. I support it.
Okay.
So that's, and I just want to make sure I'm clear, that's just moving things into the next year though, right?
Well, it's
Is it-
some things they said they didn't have to do this year. Yes.
Okay.
That's correct. You're correct. If you want to call it kicking the can, it's kicking the can or whatever, but
Okay.
between now and then, we can figure out ways not to kick the can.
Okay? All right,
Very minor amount.
all right. I think there's consensus on it. I'm sure there is, yeah. Okay?
I'll add one more and probably open the can up for some debate there. I support putting a cap on the incentive to include everything in that 500,000, Social Security, benefits and everything like that, so that saves approximately $100,000 doing it that way by putting a cap on it.
So right now, we have 500,000.
I'm for
in the
cutting,
budget,
on
plus
on the
tax.
record, I'm for cutting the entire incentive.
So Commissioner Smith, I think it's, right
Commissioner.
now, we had 500,000 in the budget, plus taxes and benefits. And so he's saying back into that, and so,
So how much?
with taxes and benefits, so, I had calculated that's $109,600 difference. And so, that brings it down to about 400, a little less than 400,000, plus taxes and benefits.
Okay. I mean, the other thought would be put a dollar placeholder, and then the next court can decide, after talking to department heads and elected officials, whether they want to keep it next year or not. You put a dollar placeholder in it, you can pull that whole number out of there.
I like that idea.
I can live with that,
I can go for it.
the dollar placeholder.
I'll do a dollar
That way y'all
placeholder
have it.
also.
Yeah, till we can determine whether or not we're even gonna, as the
Yeah,
commissioner suggested, do away with it entirely.
okay?
And let me just say this. And it has to do with, if we're doing away with that side of it, I support the cost of living, and I think somebody said 3.75, but I believe it's 3.71.
Yeah, that's what I
If we're
understand.
going to take some of that away from people who have done a great job for us, then I support the COLA staying at the 371, simply to offset that somewhat. That's my opinion.
I agree. Anybody else?
I agree. Leaving COLA at 3.71.
Yeah.
It's a cost of living raise. That's the way I look at it. It's
Yeah.
not,
Will it? And that's, I think, all I had.
Mr. Jones, or you wanna, any of these that you wanna pitch out? Let's see, you got,
Well, so the main one was the COLA, and the main two, I guess, is our vehicle expense,
financing it rather than paying for it.
financing it, and then cutting all the vehicles except for patrol.
All right, let's discuss that. What's the opinion of the court?
I worry somewhat about a couple of the vehicles, one of them that we use for transport that we go out of state that's got high mileage on it. That was one of them that concerned SO. And I don't want us to get over New Mexico or Oklahoma somewhere, and that one's got a lot of mileage on it too, I think, what we're using right now.
Yeah.
And so that's one I wouldn't want to see us cut. I don't have necessarily a issue with the others.
Well, really, my cut would just be like, let's cut, they can pick whichever cars they need. But let's cut $300,000 out of that, out of that budget.
So you're saying just give them an amount and
Yeah.
tell them purchase the
Yeah,
vehicles that you
yeah.
can with what we.
I'm not about micromanaging here at all. I want to make sure that, if they have the need, and again, this is, we're one of our largest expenditures, so.
What was the total budget for vehicles, SO?
I can get it quickly.
And not only SO, but all
departments.
All departments.
So, and we've already pulled out one that was moving to commissary, so that's, or two, excuse me, two. No, one. One is just changed out. Give me 1 second, I can get that for you. Double check it too. Equinox. Do you come with, sorry, 1.2 million. Okay, so currently in the budget, there's 1,219,000 in vehicles. There are 6 vehicles included in that that are not sheriff's office or jail. So we had 2 for the DA for investigators, 1 for engineer, 1 for maintenance of buildings, 1 for IT, and 1 for the constable 1 rather.
And what was the total for all those?
The total of all of them with sheriff's office and jail is 1,218,891. 1,218,800.
And of that amount, how much was SO?
So, SO of those is $895,684.
What was that amount again? I'm sorry.
$895,684.
So on those that are mentioned, 2 for the DA, all those, any reconsideration on those? I'm not hearing anything.
I would, I definitely think that would be a place to cut.
Yeah, okay. Any other?
Okay, and so then, offer it up again, Commissioner. You said cutting a certain dollar amount out, and then you said cut vehicles, and so where are we?
I'd like to see us, so that's a $1.2 million budget. Get that down to, around 900,000. So that would be, okay, I have a solution. 895 divided by 1218. So it's 70, that's about 75, 74, 73% is sheriff's office, and the remaining 27%. So cut that total amount to 900,000 and allocate 73% of it to the sheriff's department.
Would that probably cover the patrol and the transport?
657,000. So you're looking at, on those patrol, there are 2 Tahoes, and I'm assuming those 4 trucks right underneath it are the
Their patrol.
patrol trucks.
Would it be okay if I asked David, he's been listening, to make a comment on what we're thinking here? David, Major Ives?
Yes, sir. No, David's fine, Commissioner, or Judge, thank you. So the
Commissioner's fine, too.
vehicle that was, yeah, the vehicle earlier, I did want to correct, like, we're not going to move a vehicle into commissary. We're just cutting that vehicle. It's just flat going away on that Equinox. So I just wanted to, no, you're perfectly fine. I know there's been a lot going on. It's very last minute. So we're just trying to like hash it out with you gentlemen. But if we look at the patrol vehicles alone, and I will say that the transport vehicle is a high mileage, it's a high mileage industry for us. Those vehicles are on the road making long trips, and Commissioner Smith is right on it. It is a high priority for us along with our patrol vehicles. And just taking a cursory look at it, if you take the patrol vehicles and the transport vehicle, that's approximately 729, 544. And the auditor can certainly check me on that. That's doing quick math on the sheet, and those are certainly high priority vehicles for us. The other one was the Dodge, but the Dodge was a Chevrolet. That was the one for Captain Nixon in special operations as well, with the maintenance that he's had on that we spoke to. So I just wanted to at least bring that up again.
What was the transport vehicle?
It is a Traverse, sir.
It was a Traverse.
Is that the first time, Major, that y'all have used the Traverse? You used to have a bigger van, or?
So we use a mix. It just depends on the type of transport we have to do, whether it's JPATs or multiple vehicles. But yes, we do use vans. We used to use Tahoes. We started using the Traverses, and the Traverses we picked up simply because they're a little bit cheaper.
Sure.
At the end of the day. And you'll notice that the outfitting on that, or the total cost of that per unit, is going to be significantly cheaper than the Tahoe. We don't put as much stuff in it. They don't need all the stuff that the standard patrol guys do, so it's a pretty limited loadout that goes into the jail transport vehicles.
What was the transport Traverse price?
55,056.
9.2. So somewhere around those 6 patrol plus a transport, in my quick math, is 729,000. Is that what anybody else got?
729, 554, 544.
Okay, I was close. 730. Okay, 730. What does that leave then? That leaves 730, 170,000 spread out amongst the others, Commissioner? Would that be right?
Can I just clarify for my own brain? And so those that you were referring to, the transport, 2 Tahoes and then 4 Silverados, they're saying those are much needed, and then we could
Yeah, that's,
move or take out the others. Is that, I just want to make sure I was.
yeah, I like,
First
I
for
like, I
training.
like that.
Admin.
I like that idea.
So if the ones that are not mentioned in that number that you were talking about, so then that would pull out another Traverse, the Dodge 2500, and then the Silverado, and those come to $166,140. Just to throw more numbers out there.
And you're pulling.
That was the intent
And your
there.
suggestion is pull their other departments totally.
The other 6.
So there would be, so it'd be about 730,
Somewhere 730 for the,
what is
so-
it? Clear 900,000.
Major Ives, those Silverados you're gonna have for the sergeants, those vehicles that sergeants were driving are gonna be hand-me-downs, or what y'all gonna plan on that?
Correct. They're going to trickle down, Commissioner, and we're going to maintain that plan of 100,000 miles. We want to get them out of patrol, and then 150,000 miles, we want to get them out of the fleet. That's where we start to see all those pretty terrible maintenance issues.
Right.
So that's the one I've been making changes in. Okay. Okay. Just in case Joe's doing it, share yours.
what do you got, Commissioner?
So 170,000 would go to the rest of the
Whoops. So what I was taking, the ones, I'll put them in orange. The ones in orange, those would be ones that were taken out. Those sum to $166,140. And that's, of course, just sheriff and jail, not other departments yet.
Anybody have any questions on those?
No question, just well, kind of a question, Judge.
Okay, all right.
And this is something not necessarily for
Francis?
answering today, it's just a general thought.
Okay.
We've talked about the commissary funds. Can commissary funds be used for like a jail transport if it functions for just the jail?
So that's,
That may
a
be a
decision
Mike
for the sheriff's
question. That may
office?
be a legal question.
well, you just don't want to blur the lines between if it's something that's need for ongoing operations that you're pushing on them to use those for operating cost is how some of those statutes are worded, but it's something that can be discussed further later on.
I know
but-
we got a legal ruling on the use of it when we dealt with the others, so my question is, does it promote the well-being, health, safety, and security of inmates or support the facility? Is number 5 on use of the funds. I mean, it's a thought, if they ever decided they wanted to go
Their
that
dec-
direction.
yeah, just their decision on that, for sure.
So that 170 leaves about 2 more cars. And I would propose 1 for the DA and 1 for the engineer's office.
I see what you're saying.
I would probably propose for the constable before it was the DA's office. Just because that's gonna be an everyday, every hour usage. It's just a difference of opinion on that. I agree on the savings. I just think we should debate a little bit more on where it goes.
And you're saying constable and
Engineering?
engineering, and you're saying
DA
and engineering.
Other opinions or any?
I think we start over there with number 4 and work back toward me.
So just
Shared my opinion, so that.
to go ahead and clear out some, it sounded like then there was a truck for maintenance of buildings and then a Traverse for IT. Those, it doesn't sound like we'd want those included.
I thought we took the IT out.
We
We
decided,
had put it
we put it
back
everything
in simply because they had done, they were one of those departments early on that stepped up and said, we'll cut.
And there was a lot of financing discussion as well, if we're gonna finance, do we go ahead and
Right.
put them all in? But then
Right.
they remained in the budget as of now.
Yeah.
So we have a question here on,
We got
not a question on which vehicles we buy, but who they gonna belong, what department they gonna be assigned to. And so one is, Commissioner Perry is talking about, constable and engineering. And, Commissioner Jones is talking about,
DA and engineering.
DA and, what was the other?
Engineering.
Engineering.
So we have 2 votes for engineering. So let's do some horse trading here.
Is there a 3rd for engineering?
Pardon me?
I'll be a 3rd for engineering.
Okay.
I rode in that
Got the-
truck.
got the-
It's rough.
Okay.
Got the
We have a
engineering?
consensus on,
Engineering is one.
yeah,
Sorry to step on you, but.
no, thank you, that's fine. Engineering and constable. Got it, have it, Francis?
I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Engineering constable.
Engineering and constable. Got it.
So y'all, is that what y'all, there's already
Yeah, there's-
three consensus for engineering and
Yeah.
constable?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll go.
No, just engineering.
Oh, I thought you said constable.
I'm not going for the
We'll
constable.
take that
Oh,
one
okay.
next.
So, Commissioner.
One at a time.
Yeah, Commissioner Perry says the other vehicle needs to be assigned to constable. And Commissioner Jones is saying it should be assigned to DA.
Okay.
And not to argue his case for him, but Commissioner Perry is saying that constable is gonna be more necessary high mileage. And Commissioner Jones is basing his off of the need that the DA expressed. to
Yes.
us in the meeting. So,
Is there any, we can get some hand-me-down cars to some of these people that aren't gonna use them every day? Because we've got 163 vehicles in the sheriff's department right now. You know,
Well, that's a retreat question. That's a,
yeah.
But I think we've done that, haven't we?
generally,
Yeah, but-
generally, if a car comes out of the sheriff's department fleet that is, had any type of, that's worth still anything, we hand it down.
That's what I was thinking. And we've handed it down to constables, we've handed it down to, I think, well,
We never had handed one to the DA.
not down to the.
And then the DA car, smaller, like Traverse or,
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
it's
DA
not-
asked for Traverse, a Traverse, 2 Traverses. And then the constable request is, I know they're not related. but
Theirs was
it's
a Dodge, right?
Durango with all the upfitting that he would
Yeah,
require
theirs
for
was a
that.
Durango.
So, DA or constable?
Your turn.
Well, to me, I think the constable needs to be in a more dependable vehicle. And during the year, we'll try to figure out how to get something to the DA. So that's 2 for the constable. Anybody else for the constable?
And just, may I make a point, just not speaking for or against either one, but just budget-wise, you had a budget amendment that came before, or it might be on the next agenda, for the constable for some substantial repair work done on their older vehicles
Yeah,
that they
sure.
had, so if that
Yeah,
plays into any of that.
makes
thought.
sense, yeah, that's. No more support for the constable? So who's been supporting the DA?
Wait on,
There's just
Oh,
some,
me?
yeah, you,
yeah,
your turn.
Well, I've been shot at in my patrol car, and my patrol car saved my life before, so I would go with the constables.
okay, that's 3 for the constable.
Already
Okay.
done? Okay, I'll abstain. No, that's fine with me.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, and then, and just so I'm clear, then the maintenance vehicle and the IT vehicle, we are pulling out at this point in time.
Yep.
Okay. So,
Maintenance is gonna have to maintain their old truck.
To pull that trailer, that dump trailer, was, I don't know what, that golf cart, I guess.
I don't know. All right,
and Judge, I was gonna give you, we'll double check these numbers, but,
okay.
just keeping track of those that you cut. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was pulling 7 vehicles total out of what we already had in the budget. It's a total of $349,902.
Say it again, please.
$349,902. 349,902.
902.
Yes, sir.
7.
All right,
Okay.
so, so I guess we backed that into what we've already cut to establish tax rate.
What type of time is it gonna take you to back these numbers into the budget and then determine how that affects the tax rate? Are you gonna need a rest of?
We'll have to recess.
You'll have to recess?
Yeah, and,
Okay,
and then, tax office will do the calculation.
Oh, that's
Get it
right.
back to her, we'll go back into
that's right.
session and open session.
So I want to just double check these numbers and kind of confirm some things, but the numbers that we have been looking at already that there was consensus on, I
Yeah.
could go ahead and plug those in just to get an idea of what that does to our scenario. If that's,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
and just for clarification, there's no interest in doing half the COLA or,
I think there was a consensus to leave the COLA at
okay,
370.
all right.
Yeah, I guess so, but if you just have the
I think it was 4 people.
So I had, just make sure I have the 674.
You know, while we have a minute here, I guess a good explanation, or probably a good time to talk about a few things that were brought up in
If you
the
don't mind.
hearing. And one had to do with travel and also what was it, education, training and all the same. Almost all of that is mandated to the counties all over. And many of those trainings are not held here in Waco. We try to host as many as we can for that, but there's all kinds of certifications that different people have, whether in the sheriff's department or even in the sheriff's department, there's multiple arrays of certifications that they have to have. And it's a mandate from the state, and they didn't send a check with a mandate that we get that done. Also, there's travel. We have a very strict rule that's managed by the auditor. So right now, Frances is serving as the budget officer, but she's also the auditor, which is allowable on a county our size. And so she's very focused on, when we get our audit from a third party, that all those different issues where we reimburse for travel or we pay it up front, or education, all those kind of things, that they meet the criteria as outlined by the state. And so those sound like very discretionary expenses, but they're not as much as you think they are. I have certain judicial requirements or authority, and through that there's a requirement that I take 16 hours of course credit on probates and guardianships. Very seldom I can get any of those hours close by. And the states, there's 254 counties. Obviously, they can't do them all at one time. So they're segmented in different regions. Unfortunately, we're not in that region. It's always either San Antonio or Austin, Galveston, Lubbock, which is a great opportunity to see Lubbock.
I was just there.
Yeah. And so I'm just one of many that have to have ongoing education. And it's the same darn course every year, but I still have to do it and certify affidavit, send it to the state that I meet those requirements. So anyhow, I thought that would
Piggyback that as well. Judge and I are both in our last year. We're not running, didn't run again.
last year in office.
Right.
I plan.
Let me, yes, I take that, but we still have to have training. And I said, no, we got to double check on that. I mean, why in your last year, call down to TAC in Austin and go, absolutely, you have to get all your training in.
Or you can be removed from office.
It's got punishments that come with it. Makes zero sense to me, but you still have to go and get it. Are y'all starting to hear kind of a common theme that maybe it's south of here is maybe causing us a lot of headaches?
Judge, one other thing, as far as travel, most of our constables furnish their own vehicles, and we pay mileage on the travel that they do, as opposed to buying vehicles
And it's
for them,
yeah, and that reimbursement amount is determined by the Internal Revenue Service.
which has gone up now to 76 cents, I think.
So it covers fuel, oil, and gas, as well as depreciation.
Depreciate on the vehicles, and they put a lot of miles on serving papers, a lot of miles.
Yeah.
And did you say yours was 18 hours?
16.
Okay, 16, okay. Yeah, that's what ours are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So
Francis?
just to recap, today, we had the capital cuts from the sheriff's office that they moved to another fund. We had the operating and the road and bridge operating decreases of 5%. The vehicle cuts that we just walked through, that decrease to the IT assessments, and then pulling out incentive pay, or rather putting a placeholder there. And so all of those things today equal right under 2.9 million is what all of those those amount to. And like I said, we'll solidify and just kind of step back and take a breath and clarify those numbers and make sure those look good since they were done quickly. But that being said, if we rolled those in, you'll see expenditures now are at right under 165 million here. And so still assuming coming under budget sum, that puts us at right over 31%. One of, when we look at these scenarios, we've been looking at coming under budget by 3%, which altogether sometimes comes to a large number, but line by line is very small when you look at certain line items. But I think pulling out some of the 5% in operating, I'm hesitant to say that 3% would still be a good assumption, but it's in there, and we can amend that if needed. But that's what that would look like. This scenario, then, if you go forward for the next 3 years, like we talked about earlier, we decrease the taxable growth factor to 2.5%, just to try to be as conservative there as possible, not knowing what will occur in future years. And so then you'll see in 28, 29, 30, what that looks like. And of course, this is still with 4.5 cents.
Well, Francis, the magic question is, what can we get if we do 28.28 on the bottom there this year? What pennies are we looking at on the top?
So, and that's 3. So
See,
3 cents gets you here at 28, but then
It kills us the
you want
rest.
to look for, and so
Right.
that delta there, revenue expenditure
Oh,
delta is,
I really do feel like that you have to throw out 28. You can't look forward to 28. And if that's just my opinion,
Say it again, I didn't understand.
we can't look forward to the next year. We have to think what's right for the taxpayers this year. And that's to,
So you don't think we should consider what it's gonna push into next year? That we're up, we're
no,
below?
not at all.
That drives,
And there is no mandate, there is no state
I
mandate
know that, yeah.
that we have a 28% fund balance.
There's not, Commissioner, but that's something that we voted on and agreed on, that we would be between 28 and 33.
And I know that I voted yes, but, my opinion is that we don't need to get any lower than 25. And,
So,
next year is next year.
And where we're at, where I see us at right now is on that fine line of what's appropriate for this year and appropriate for next year, or what we feel is appropriate this year backfires next year. I think we're right on that fine line. And so I appreciate the discussion about it and all, but we're right on that edge.
Back to the numbers that you originally plugged, that reduction that we've come up with today, you'll need to wait to translate that into a tax rate, or do you have what that will do for a tax rate?
I mean, you can look at it as a function of your taxable value. So it's kind of interesting, there was 2.9 million, your taxable value is 2.95, or, once you
Yeah.
extrapolate it for the tax rate.
1 cent is 2,950,000.
It's very close to that. But then it all comes down to, what do you want your bottom fund balance to be?
Yeah.
What are we comfortable with as being the difference, the deficit in revenues and expenditures?
So if you don't fool with anything else, though, and you lower the tax rate commensurate with the reduction in expenditures, that's about a penny? Is that what you're saying?
Sure. So if you take the 29.5 billion, divide it by 100 times the 1 cent, you would get 2.95 million in
And what
levy.
was our, what was our total we'd come up with so far? 2.1?
Today,
Yeah,
today, right under 2.9 million,
so it's right at a penny right now.
correct.
And that's before you go through and glean out the 5%. Is that correct?
No,
Or
sir.
is the 5% in there?
The estimate that we have right now is in there.
Is
This
in
is
there?
baked in there, yes.
Okay.
Might make some tweaks to that when we can step away here, but
It's gonna be real close.
So what about looking at it from this standpoint, just using the baseline as your unassigned fund balance to the lowest part of our policy at 0.28? And that it has to be it's gonna be a lower rate, but it has to be enough rate where you don't see this declining below 2.8. You gotta see that it's
Right.
holding its own or going up, otherwise
So,
next court's gonna have to raise.
so
raise.
currently it's at 287.
Yeah.
287. So what you're saying, what would that .007 reduction do for the tax rate to get it?
like 7/10 of a cent?
Well,
But that,
removing that .007 to make it a 28 even, what does that do going forward?
It's gonna make it work.
Okay, well, let me figure out what, so 2 point. I'm not gonna mess with the 98%
You're just gonna.
I
collection.
think you just take the,
I think it'll lower that next year. Yeah, I do
Sure.
too. I wanted to see.
yeah, it has to. So you can start putting a scenario in that tax box and see what drives the bottom line to what it's gonna look like.
Probably
next year.
0275. Can you put 0275 in?
My brain is.
No, you need to go up.
Well, I know you need to go up, but he's talking about trying to get to 28 this year. Exactly 28.
I was just asking what it
That's-
looked like.
Well, look, we're down to 9, just,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. But that's at what tax rate?
So, okay,
It's at 3,
so just
not under 3 cents.
if I'm understanding what you're asking, to try to get this to as close to 28%, but remember that is an estimate. So that is an estimate that is based on some
Understand.
assumptions and coming under budget sum. And so on the green box on the top left, this is adding 2.7 cents to the current tax rate. So here you'll see the rate would be 361,805.
But that drops us down
0.281.
0.25, 0.281,
running in the wheel.
0.221 to 0.19.
So yeah, that's where you start seeing that decline there.
So put in 3.5 cents up here and see what it drives this number down here.
And that brings
It
us up
still
to
goes
29.
down. So move it to 4.
So 4 is where it looks more consistent going forward.
Stays flat.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's where if you don't want it to be flat, you can make decisions, tax rate or expenditure and try to get that closer to where you want it.
Yeah.
Go to 375. Which
Is that what you
would be
said?
2 years out before we drop below there.
But we know through this whole budgeting discussion, it's not even considered in these numbers. It's things that we didn't consider that's gonna land in next year or the next few years lap. And then on top of that, some of the things we've done this morning.
That's
I'm
where we
just-
got- Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean,
Stay on
that,
top of expenditures.
yeah, and, yeah, exactly right. Yeah. We can control to a certain extent expenditure,
And I
but
know we've got to do these, we need to cut, and we do. I worry about something I can't control, and that's the atmosphere in Austin for wanting to push things down our throat.
big risk,
Yeah,
big risk.
yeah, big risk there, and we have absolutely no control over it. That's a heck of a way to run a business to be honest with you.
The
Is somebody-
headline- the
somebody
headline-
telling you what to do.
Headline is the governor wants to lower your taxes.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Until you get into our level, and city level, on what the consequences, if they don't help us out,
They haven't.
Yeah.
If history,
no indications. The answer to that question was y'all figure it out.
Services are just gonna have to be cut is the thing, so.
So, go back to 4 cents. That at least maintains, I think we're gonna have to be at 4 to maintain that and don't put next year's court in a bind they can't get out of without raising taxes again. And this is not my first budget. I know what happened to these things, so.
And then I know sometimes this comes up, just to put that in perspective, so I know you can probably do this math in your head, but that 4 cents, whatever's there, you know, just move that decimal over a few places, and that's $40 a year on a $100,000 evaluation, so.
will you put together, based on the cuts that we've had a consensus on this morning, all the cuts, which I think you already know, put together those different scenarios of whatever the commissioner's court wants to see. You know, the current one was 4.5, down to, I guess, 3.5, and 4.5, 4, 3.5, and this afternoon bring those to us.
Like have them where you can look, like print it out, you mean? Like what we just did here?
Mm-hmm.
So you said
So I can see it in
3.5 to
front.
4.5? Is that what you said?
3.5 to 4.5.
Every quarter increment or something?
Good quarters, yeah, that'd be fine.
Sure. No problem.
And then have a budget figure with the, you'll have the total budget amount on what we've cut and where we are, where we will be.
It'll be very similar to this. Like
I
I said,
understand,
it'll just be
I
some,
understand, I
we
understand.
just want to double check.
I love, the ability to see things up on that, but I like to see it.
I know.
See the paper too. I'm that old fashioned.
So I'm gonna pitch something out. We gotta get moving. I think we're gonna have to go to 4 just to hold our own for the next several years. And, let's see if there's any agreement to that.
I don't,
Right now, that looks like with what the cuts have done today and where we're at, 4 seems to be where you stay in the median of the policy.
Any other support for that?
I'm not necessarily against it. I thought we were gonna recess and come back and look at the numbers and then make a final decision after recess. And that's the reason I'd like to look at them again when you bring them back to us on a piece of paper. I'm not saying one way or the other.
But
Understand?
But I do, when we come back this afternoon, we'll have to recalculate the effective increase for each of those.
how long is it gonna take you?
Still has to eat too.
Well,
So what?
no, we don't either.
That the tax office they have access to the state software, so they will be the ones that are plugging in the rate, like in between those ranges y'all are talking about, because the wording has to be very, very specific for the motion to adopt. So,
You see any problem with that? Let them do that this afternoon?
no, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know their schedule at this very moment.
Give them something to
They
do.
will have to do that, and then we're gonna review these numbers a little bit, but I don't think it should take very long. It's 11:15.
Well,
1 or 1:30.
come back.
How long you want to, what's good for coming back, I guess? My question.
Well,
Can they do it, I mean, it's gonna be 11:30, can they do it in 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours?
I think it's a matter of short term. I mean,
Yeah.
can you
I would
call
say-
over and ask them how long it
Sure.
take them?
We have a 5-minute break.
Yeah, let's take a 5-minute recess. session. Okay, you have the sheets in front of you. Variables utilized are up in the top left corner. And some of those are assumptions. So, as I read this,
She went back to get the 3% for us.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
Well, we're almost ready to
I
go.
went up to get these and they'd already got down here. I needed the exercise. So, what's the one we're looking for?
3 cents,
Commissioner, 1, 3.
3.5.
3.5,
5, 4,
375, 4.
1/2.
I feel like an auctioneer.
Thank you.
Oh, whoa.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Smith, what do you see here that you like and don't like?
Yeah, Judge, based on everything I'd love to see us as low as we can get and still be
Yes, sir.
a good fiduciary of our taxpayers' money. I think some of them aren't reasonable. I don't support the 4.5 that we started out. Looking at bottom line, based on the economic environment we're in right now, and the bottom line, and trying to stay within our policy as closely as possible. It looks like the four, based on the numbers, is what it needs to be at. Certainly.
So that's in agreement with the proposal that was thrown out before, so there'll be 3 as a consensus on that. But I entertain any other comments, in my opinion.
Not what I want, but
Yeah.
that's what we, yeah.
Okay, so with that, was there other information you wanted from Francis?
Not me, no.
Okay.
I think,
So Francis, I guess at this point then, you would get the consensus number, call the tax office, let them do the calculation in a hurry, and get it back to us for consideration of the tax rate budget.
Yes, and I think we just wanted to do a review of some of those things that were changed today, just to make sure that
Okay,
that there's not anything, because we did it quickly and kind of on the fly, just to make sure that you know, taking that 5% from operating, that's where it's a little bit subjective. But again, can I just clarify a few things, just so I know
Yes.
the intent there?
Yes, ma'am.
There were there's our contracted programs department. So we had already gone through and made some cuts of 25% to a number of those, like Sports Commission, Creative, Waco. The ones we did not touch, do you want that 5% on those? Or, because when I calculated it the first time, that's what I did, if it hadn't been cut.
You're talking
Or
about
you-
the outside entities?
Yes, because that's part of that whole, you know, the whole operating portion of the general fund. So there was just some things that I didn't want to,
Yeah, and we'd cut them back by what percentage?
25, wasn't it?
25%.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but the ones that.
Yeah.
Like if,
The weren't,
Go to that screen, possibly?
the ones that weren't contracted, we cut back.
so things like that, I just want to make sure that's intent. You know, we have some of our City of Waco things that are based on contracts. So of course, those I didn't include, but
Well, anything that was contract, we really can't. I mean, we're obligated to them.
Yeah.
they're all a little different, so.
So you took 5% off of the non-contracted outside entities, you're saying?
So there may have been let's take one, for example, Meals on Wheels. You did not cut it at all, the first go round. So do you want this 5% on those types of lines?
I don't see how, if we're gonna cut ourselves to the bone, that outside entities don't need to be looked at too. I mean, if we're gonna dig that deep.
I mean, they do have other means of gaining revenue. It's not just solely on us.
Yeah, I agree. If we're gonna cut. At some point, there's gonna have to be austerity across the board, you know, so.
But it sounds like you got a consensus to cut those.
Okay, and so that's what I had in the first draft, but
Okay.
it was rough. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing anything outside of something that you would agree on.
Okay.
And then, so I guess the other, there may be some departments that come in early and we need to adjust the budget here and there just because, you know, something was budgeted exactly as it should have been and it's off. But I think that that's clear that may occur and
Yeah. They're not gonna be
Okay.
more than likely very
Okay.
significant.
so I think then with those things being clarified to me, I just didn't want to do anything that was outside of something you
I
didn't have an
understand.
intent.
Appreciate you looking at it.
So we can take that number that was 5% of all operating other than road and bridge, and that number being,
That's
Like
not
Road and Bridge was 5%.
yes, that one's an easy calc.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, okay.
That one's an easy one. Not easy, but you know what I mean.
Maybe easy, but it hurts.
Yes. Let me make sure that I don't know why this is doing this. Okay. So that 5% then we've made a lot of adjustments, like I said, for those things that we thought we really couldn't touch a whole lot. And so, I mean, that 5% we have plugged in about 761,000. And so what we'll do then is and we'll go through those things so we can formally vote on all of those changes made today. But then we'll just go through and layer those throughout the budget after you adopt today, just knowing that we'll come to that number. We'll make it equal to that
Okay.
number. That's,
Yeah.
okay. So I guess then our scenario here, the 4%, then it sounded like the 4% is where we were hovering on.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
4 cents, correct?
4
4
cents.
cents, yeah.
What did I?
It's so easy.
My brain. So that is,
I know we put you in a jam. But
no, you're good.
But that's okay.
My hamster's running, it's
Yeah.
slowing down sometimes. I think our next step, I feel, we just need to have an actual vote on the changes today. I know there was consensus.
Okay.
But we want to make sure that we document all the changes to the proposed.
Okay, so
we
you
can run
need to
through those.
vote on the changes that have just been discussed and the ones in the past. Not the tax rate, but
Just the changes.
Yeah,
So
okay.
when someone looks at the proposed budget
Yeah.
we filed, and then they look at actual
Yeah.
court actions, they should marry and
That's right.
become the adopted.
Exactly right.
No issues there. So,
Right.
so you had already approved changes on the last agenda when we met up to that point in time. Are you okay if I just like say them out loud, do you think? Okay. Sorry, y'all, bear with me. So, I know this is rough. So we made capital cuts related to the sheriff's office listing that they provided. It was $674,586. So if someone wants to, and I guess we could take all these together. I apologize.
Yeah, let's take them together unless someone wants to pull something out.
Okay. So 5% of the road and bridge operating came to 441,395. 5% of all other operating, pulling out items that we felt that we didn't want to need to adjust at this point in time came to $760,925. There was a decrease in IT assessments. I think there was a very specific number given.
24,508? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, I didn't know the exact
24,508 is what I was given.
508. Okay. I had that one as a. So 24,508, so those were items that John said he would hold off until the next year and replace those technology-related items. We backed off 7 vehicles, and that included, for the sheriff's office / jail, a Traverse for training, a Dodge truck for admin, a Silverado, 2 Traverses for the DA, 1 truck for maintenance of buildings, and 1 Traverse for IT. So that came to $349,902. And then the other one there were consensus on was dropping incentive pay. So we had $500,000,
It
so.
was a dollar placeholder.
Yes, sir. So we'll have $1 in there, and so when we back off the $500,000 plus taxes, benefits, retirement, it comes to $609,600, and then that will be replaced with a $1 placeholder. So I guess it's actually $1 less.
Thanks for saving that dollar there.
Make it all tie in the end. So,
What does that add up to?
sorry, that would be helpful, wouldn't it? So that was the 2860915
Today.
today.
Okay.
And so, there's one other item I want to come back to, in our permanent improvement fund, but if someone would like to make a motion and we have a record vote on those. Oh. Okay. Okay.
That wasn't adopted on.
Gotcha. I guess I'll cover it in the next one. I'll cover it. Should I? Just go ahead. Okay, we're gonna.
If you wanted all the general fund together.
Yes, we'll go ahead and do that. One more adjustment that we'll add to this list. In Road and Bridge 3, it is just merging 2 lines together. So there used to be a tires, tubes, and batteries line, and then a repair and maintenance line. So we are putting it all together into repair and maintenance now. And so that's just a way it appears
Okay.
line item wise. That was the other change.
But no dollar change. Okay.
No, sir.
Motion to approve the changes as recommended by the audit, or as voiced by the auditor's office today.
Second. All right, any questions or comments? All right. Call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass.
And then one other item that we just want to clarify when walking from the proposed to the adopted, in Fund 401,
401 is what? Is that permanent improvement?
I think so.
so when we get closer to the time of adoption, we look at all of our permanent improvement projects and just see the new status. TJ fills us in on those. And so a lot of times we'll project and then roll the remaining balance forward. So there was an update to the projection. So it's just a different amount, a higher amount that's rolled forward, projection decreases, budget increases. So no end net effect on fund balance. And that was related to door modifications at the Highway 6 jail. So the new budgeted amount will be $634,483, and that's what will roll forward into the next year.
That's a wash.
It's the difference between what we thought would get done before September 30th and what didn't. So-
Right, okay.
Yes, sir.
But you don't need a vote on that, do you?
Yes, if you don't mind
You
going
do?
and voting on that
All
as
right,
well.
state it again.
This would be adjusting the budget for the door modification line at the Highway 6 jail in Fund 401 to an amount of $634,483.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
So that should be all the changes up to now that we will incorporate into the adopted. And so then this is where we sit currently. I'm going to check my email. And I have, if we want to simmer on this some more, if more discussion needs to happen, if not, I do have if someone who's going to make a motion for 4 cents, I have the wording needed for all of the actions,
you
including
already
the
have
tax
that.
rate. I got it now.
Okay. All right.
Sorry for the messiness of this.
All right. What's the pleasure of the court?
Well, do we need to
Got to read this.
Yes.
read the motion, or?
So,
I'm sorry.
no, you're good. Let me make sure. 374805. Okay, so
Did you print it out?
I did, and I can
Okay.
bring it to whoever wants.
Go ahead and read it, and then whoever wants to make the motion can take that paper and repeat it.
Okay, so first is item D1C. This is consideration of and vote to adopt the FY27 budget. And so the motion is I move to adopt the fiscal year 2027 budget as presented by the county auditor. And so that would be the proposed plus the votes that you made for any changes.
That's what we just went over the budget,
Correct, this is just for the budget.
and that needs to be made first.
Correct, has to be in this order.
I move to adopt the fiscal year 2027 budget as presented by the county auditor today.
Second. Any other discussion? Call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass.
Okay, item D1D is vote to ratify the property tax increase reflected in the FY 2027 budget. And so this is needed because the rate does exceed the no new revenue rate. And so the motion is I move to ratify the property tax increase reflected in the fiscal year 2027 budget.
Okay. I'm not going for office again, so don't beat me up. I think it's a important thing to do. This is D1. This is D1D.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I move to ratify the property tax increase reflected in the fiscal year 2027 budget. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Nay.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Nay.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. All right, anything else? So this is D1E.
Yes, sir.
All right. This is a vote to adopt the 2026 tax rate. I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 3.374805 for the maintenance and operation, and .30099 for the interest and sinking fund, which is effectively a 0.13.74% increase in the tax rate. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
That, yeah, question?
Yeah,
That's the 4 cents, right?
Yes, sir.
yep.
Okay.
All right, call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Nay.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
No.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Anything else?
Do not think so.
Well, I appreciate everyone working diligently on this all the way to the 11th hour, and wish next court the best in working with this budget. Hope it turns out well. My biggest hope is that that the investment that we've made in economic development will drive the revenues higher as our county is growing. So nothing else to come before the court?
Oh, one other thing.
Okay.
I just got a message. I think when you were reading through the rates that it may have cut out. Do you mind reading just?
Okay.
So I got a message from Dustin.
So,
And let me know if you need me to.
all right, just for clarification. let me show you.
That's the total tax rate.
Yeah, this is break it out. Yeah, okay, gotcha. All right, to restate the vote on item D1E, to vote to adopt, adopt the 2026 tax rate. I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.374805, which is 0.344706 for maintenance and operations, and 0.030099 for interest and sinking, which is effectively a effectively a 13.74% increase in the tax rate. Is there a second?
We need to vote on that again?
Yeah, there was a number left out.
Clarification.
Who seconded last time?
You did.
You did.
I thought,
You did, Smith.
You did.
I did.
Commissioner
Second.
Second, okay. All right, I have motion second. Any other discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith,
aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Nay.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
No.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
All right, pass. Anything else to come before the court?
Not now.
Okay. All right, we stand adjourned.